Things are getting critical in Baltimore. The Ravens enter Week 6 at 1-4, tying the worst start in franchise history, and now they're set to face the Rams, who are sitting at 3-2 and looking confident. Every play this Sunday is going to matter, and another bad loss could force drastic changes nobody wants to see. The biggest problem? The defense. They're giving up way too many points and yards, even with key players coming back from injury. At the center of this crisis is young defensive coordinator Zach Orr, who, despite having the backing of John Harbaugh and GM Eric DeCosta, is already facing heavy criticism for his predictable play calling. This game could be a turning point for the season, and everything that happens on the field might determine whether the Ravens still have the strength to fight back or if radical changes in defensive leadership are inevitable. The situation in Baltimore is dire. After 5 weeks, the Ravens are 1-4, matching the worst start in franchise history. Every loss ramps up the pressure, and now, against a solid team like the Los Angeles Rams, it feels like every single play counts, and every mistake could be costly. Fans and media are watching closely, and inside the organization, the pressure couldn't be higher. The problem goes far beyond just not winning games. The team looks lost on the field, especially when it comes to adjusting the defense and responding to opposing offenses. Confidence is shaken, and with Lamar Jackson out again, the offense can't carry the team on its own. That makes every weakness, even more so on defense, easier for opponents to exploit. Facing the Rams, who come in at 3-2, is a true test. They aren't undefeated, but they play with balance and consistency, and any mistake by the Ravens could be taken advantage of immediately. Every long pass, every blown coverage, every poorly executed blitz is an opportunity for Los Angeles to extend their lead and put even more pressure on Baltimore. This game feels like a watershed moment, where one bad result could accelerate significant internal changes. At the end of the day, everyone knows this Sunday isn't just another game. For the Ravens, it's a defining moment that could shape the rest of the season, and even the future of some coaching staff members. How the team responds on the field will show if there's still resilience or if changes are unavoidable. And that brings us directly to the biggest target of criticism all season, Baltimore's defense. If the offense is missing Lamar Jackson, the defense isn't holding up its end of the bargain at all. The numbers are staggering. Baltimore is giving up 408.8 yards per game, 31st in the league, and 35.4 points per game, dead last. These stats don't lie. A unit that was once a strength has now become the team's biggest Achilles heel. Every play seems to expose a new flaw, and it feels like any opponent can move down the field with ease. Even more concerning, Baltimore is on pace to break an unwanted NFL record, potentially become the first team in history to allow 600 points in a season. This isn't just bad stats. It's a reflection of deep structural issues. Every long pass, every quickly surrendered touchdown, add more pressure on both players and coaches. The team can no longer hide these flaws behind a few wins or a strong offense. Even against weaker opponents, like the Texans last week, the defense hasn't been able to recover. They gave up 44 points to a team averaging just 21.6 per game. That shows the problem goes beyond injuries or temporary rust. The defense is being exploited across the board. Line, linebackers, secondary. And predictable play calling only makes them more vulnerable. With the pressure mounting, the spotlight turns squarely on the coaching staff, especially defensive coordinator Zach Orr. As the defense keeps giving up yards and points, questions about his decisions are unavoidable. Even with key players like Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey returning, there's no guarantee performance will improve. And that naturally leads to examining Orr's individual issues and his uncertain future in Baltimore. It's true the team has suffered from injuries. Last week, 5 starters were out, which impacts any defense. But even when fully healthy last season, this unit had struggles, showing the problem isn't just physical. With Hamilton and Humphrey back, the injury excuse loses weight, yet the defense remains weak, failing to generate consistent pressure and giving up big plays repeatedly. Pressure on the quarterback is another glaring issue. The Ravens have recorded just 6 sacks so far, tied for 31st in the league. Without pressure, opponents have time to run dangerous plays, and the secondary can't compensate, giving up easy touchdowns. Orr's predictable schemes and lack of creativity make the defense easy to read, letting opponents capitalize on mistakes over and over. This highlights a structural and strategic problem. It's not about effort or talent. It's about planning and execution. Each repeated failure shows the defense has no backup plan when the initial strategy fails. That makes the pressure on or even greater, as he's the one responsible for designing and adjusting the defense on the fly. Even as players give their all, the defense's inability to respond, even with full roster, sets off red flags. Without meaningful changes to how they play, the team remains exposed, and any well-organized opponent will continue to exploit these weaknesses. This situation naturally brings us to Orr's role in his performance, which has been under scrutiny since the season began.
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
Zach, or just 33 years old, is at the center of the storm. Young and only in his second year as a defensive coordinator, he's facing criticism from all sides. His predictable play calling, lack of blitzes, and absence of creativity have left the defense vulnerable. Even though John Harbaugh and GM Eric DeCosta continue to publicly support him, the clock is ticking, and another poor performance could make his exit inevitable. Orr's track record doesn't help. Last season, the defense started slow too, although they eventually turned it around. But with the current problems, fans and media have run out of patience. Every point surrendered. Every poorly defended play adds pressure, and he needs to prove he can lead and adjust the defense during games. So far, those solutions haven't shown up, and the defense's inconsistency continues to slide. He also lacked variety in his schemes, making the team predictable and easy to exploit. No pressure, no creativity, and a struggling secondary put the responsibility squarely on him. The team seems locked in a rigid model that doesn't work against insistent opponents, and every failure reinforces the sense that he might be in over his head. Even though he's young and promising, the reality is harsh. If the defense keeps collapsing, the staff will have few options but to make a change. That's where Chuck Pagano comes in, a veteran presence with experience and respect in the locker room, connecting directly to the potential defensive shakeup. If the Ravens' defense continues giving up 400-plus yards and 40-plus points per game, the team's patience will run out. The most logical move would be to replace Orr, and nobody fits better than Chuck Pagano. The former Colts head coach, who's also familiar with Baltimore, already knows the locker room, the players, and the team style, making a transition smoother and more effective. Pagano brings experience and credibility, exactly what the Ravens' defense desperately needs. He's led NFL teams before and knows how to adjust schemes to get the most out of every player. Unlike Orr, who's still learning, Pagano has a proven track record that could bring immediate stability. A coordinator change should also reinvigorate the defense, signaling that the franchise won't tolerate giving up points and yards without a fight. With him in charge, Baltimore would have a real chance to bounce back and stabilize the team, even after such a rough start to the season. The bottom line is clear. If the Ravens fall to 1-5 and the defense gives up another ugly game, changes are inevitable. Chuck Pagano stands out as a natural choice to try and save what's left of the season, closing a chapter on a crisis that began with alarming stats, predictable schemes, and a defense that can't respond. The Ravens season is at a crossroads, and Week 6 could define what comes next. The defense needs to step up, and every decision on the field will show whether Zach Orr can still lead this unit or if drastic changes are unavoidable. With the backing of Harbaugh and DeCosta, Orr has one last chance to turn things around, but the pressure has never been higher. What do you think? Can the Ravens still bounce back, or is it time to change the defensive leadership? No matter the outcome, this Sunday is a pivotal moment that could shape the rest of the season, showing whether Baltimore will fight back or need radical adjustments to compete at a high level again.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.